There are certain things that happen when it comes to the decisions made and not made by the officials. We spent plenty of time talking about the Skycam interference, which happened not once but twice this weekend. But there were some other things that occurred, Chris. And I mean, we could probably fill a whole show talking about the various officiating inconsistencies and glitches and lack of transparency. And that's really the bottom line. They need to work on consistency and they need to work on transparency. Because when you have neither, you invite people to get a roll of Reynolds wrap or the cheap generic stuff, fashion it into a hat, and come up with any and all crazy theories they want to come up with as to why this is happening.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And it is. It's the consistency, I think, that drives me crazy. And I think it drives a lot of people in football crazy, especially coaches and GMs, because you just don't know what you're going to get on a week-to-week basis. And, yeah, there were some things last week where flags were thrown and you were like, why? And then you were like, wait, there was some ones where you were like, flag were thrown. That's correct. Wait, they're going to pick it up. They're not going to give us an explanation. Right? There's just a lot of, and you know, of course, I always get back to the quarterback roughing stuff. And like we saw at the end of the Patriots-Bills game the other night, illegal hitting Josh Allen too hard. I mean, the defensive lineman almost hurt himself so he didn't fall on Josh Allen, and they gave him a penalty for hitting the quarterback. No, nothing in the head, nothing there. Just was a hard hit. And it's like, you can't do that. And that stuff just, it drives me crazy watching the game right now.
But at least the rule book calls for that, because when in doubt, whip it out was the language. I don't think that's the exact language in the rule book, but they tell them in the rule book, if there's any doubt, throw the flag for roughing the passer. It's the only rule that has that directive to err on the side of dropping the flag, all in the name of protecting the quarterbacks. Let's start with one that happened in Philadelphia, the Broncos and the Eagles. In the fourth quarter, with fewer than 4 minutes to go, Denver leading 18-17. Denver had the ball 2nd and 6 on their own 47. There was a flag thrown for intentional grounding. But then the flag was picked up. Here's the play, a little play action, and, you know, kind of in the pocket, gets back toward the line of scrimmage. It didn't get to the line of scrimmage. If it doesn't get to the line of scrimmage, it's got to be in the vicinity of an eligible receiver. And that can be a very broad explanation and a broad category. And so they threw it and then they picked it up. But if you're going to pick that flag up, you got to tell us why you picked it up.
Right.
Was he out of the pocket? Was it determined that a receiver was in the area? Why did you pick up something that was clearly and obviously, based upon what Nix was doing, an effort to avoid a sack? There was no effort made to complete a pass. This is, oh shit, I'm getting sacked. Let me throw the ball as he throws me down. And why is it not intentional grounding when you drop the flag? Who made the decision to pick the flag up, and why was the flag picked up? That's all we're asking for. When you're going to do something like that, you've got to explain why you did what you did.
Right. Yeah, I agreed there. I'd like to hear that. And then this is another one where it feels like they've been told, when in doubt, whip it out. Or no, when in doubt, don't whip it out on this one. That's what I meant to say. When in doubt,
I probably shouldn't have cranked you up on that phrase.
Well, I was just shocked here that was even called. That's what I would say. In the modern day NFL, I don't even think this is close to grounding. Yeah, I think he got outside.
I think the intent is, what grounding is, you're getting rid of the ball to avoid a sack.
Right, I know that.
Clearly getting rid of the ball to avoid a sack.
No crap. But I could show you 50 other plays that were just like that in the NFL.
Well, they get lucky if the ball lands within the same zip code as a receiver.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's show it again. I mean, Troutman's like 3 or 4 yards from where the ball lands. So within that, the guy there, and what I've seen in the modern day NFL, like the flag never gets thrown in that situation. That's what I would say. Never. He made it to the edge of the box. There's a receiver in the flat here. You could see 82. There he is. That's in the modern day NFL. To me, that's close. I see way more egregious grounding than that right there. Right, that doesn't get called. So that's where I have
they need to work on the grounding penalties generally.
They got to work on a lot of them.
They need to just get rid of grounding. You can just get rid of the ball. Like, you can just. I mean, it would look ridiculous if you just spiked the ball as you're about to get grounded, but that looks ridiculous too. And one of the things I remember from that rule, from one of the past times we've tried to discern what is and isn't grounding, it isn't enough for the ball to land in the vicinity of a player, an eligible receiver. It's got to be thrown in his direction. This isn't thrown in his direction.
Well, it is thrown in his direction. He sees him. He knows he's there, but he has somebody pulling his back, and the ball goes off target. Look right there. I mean, he's looking at him. He's just getting
rid. This is get rid of the. This is just bad. This is avoid the sack.
He knew
he's
where
not
it
Superman.
was. Like, he was going to throw it the first time, but he was like, wait, the defender's there. I don't want to throw a pick. And then he does the spin move, and he knows the guy's in the flat, and he's trying to get in this vicinity. I mean, he's looking at him right there. And then here he is again looking at it too. But, yeah, now it's just like, oh, crap, I got to get rid of it and just hope it gets in the vicinity, to your point there. But, yeah, I don't like it either, Mike. I'm one here to tell you, yeah, I think that they help the quarterbacks out way too much in that. But my point is that in the NFL, this day and age right now, that's not even close to grounding in my eyes.
But they got to explain it.
Yeah, agreed with you there, 100%.
It's not grounding relative to how it's called, but we see a lot of those where that should be grounding.
Right.
And it's not. Okay. Also in the Dolphins-Panthers game where Miami led 17-0 before urinating down their leg and or defecating down their mattress, the officials had called pass interference on Jack Jones. Third quarter, 9 minutes left. Miami leading 17-13. Carolina's ball 2nd and 9 from their own 26. Pass interference is called, and another situation where it's picked up. And there he is. I mean, he's grabbing the jersey.
We saw a few of these.
Grabbing the jersey and pulling him down.
There was a few plays on Sunday where we were said, like, wait, when there was a meeting about the rules with the NFL, they said anytime the jersey gets tugged, they're calling it. There was about 4 or 5 plays on Sunday where I'd go, jerseys were tugged and nothing was called. This was so egregious, this is embarrassing because we're not even showing he was tugged before this. This was the second time he was tugged on this play. When he came out of his double move, he got tugged, and then he ran a little bit, and then Jack Jones grabbed the jersey again. But that, to me, yes, how can that be picked up? In this day and age in the modern NFL, again, where I'd go, if he blew in his ear, they'd call pass interference. Now he's got a handful of jersey, and he's grabbing him to the ground, and it's not called? That's where every coach I've ever talked to wants to go off on the league and the referees, but they can't because they'll get in trouble.
Well, and I saw that Cam Jordan had some things to say, and he'll probably get fined. And you never know what the standard is there, too. That's the thing. It all comes down to consistency and transparency. And for something like this, if you're going to drop the flag and you're going to pick it up, you owe it to people to explain. Because, and this goes back to the things that the commissioner used to say when the NFL hated gambling. And the excuse for hating gambling was that if you have widespread legalized gambling, normal incidents of the game will be interpreted as something nefarious. And this is a somewhat abnormal incident of the game where a flag is thrown for an obvious penalty and it's picked up. So if normal incidents of the game will be viewed as some form of gambling-related chicanery, something unusual that isn't explained is going to make people say, something's going on here, even if it isn't.
Yeah,
and that's the problem.
Agreed.
And they don't care about it nearly enough. And there's so many people in the media who are bought and paid for by the gambling companies, and they won't say anything either. And, I was on Dan Patrick's show a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking about the Jordan Davis play, and there were people in the media who get checks from DraftKings, FanDuel, all the sports books, and I don't know that they got this directive. I'm not saying they got the directive. They're just protecting their bread and the way it's buttered. And they attack me for suggesting that Jordan Davis made some calculation in the moment to score because he knew about the spread and he's trying to beat the spread because he's man of the game. No, the point is we're sensitive to these things now because it's the age of gambling.
Right.
And the league said we would be. The commissioners said we would be back when they hated gambling. We'll be sensitive to these things. That's the whole point. You got to be consistent and you got to be transparent. And the NFL is currently neither. And we're at the front lines of dealing with the fans who have the tinfoil hats on. And we're going to be at the front lines of covering the story of the scandal whenever it happens, because it's going to happen. And I hope it doesn't, but it's going to happen. It'll be good for my business in the short term, but it's bad for everyone in the long term. Even worse than the Red Menace light at the Kenny Rogers Roaster across the street from Jerry and Kramer's apartment building. Let's take a break. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.